This is the Houndsman XP podcast.
Good dog, get that bear. Get that bear in here.
The original podcast for the complete Houndsman.
Look at your coat of go, Justin Heights. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him.
The podcast that represents our lifestyle of extreme performance.
Get him there. Get him. Get him. Yeah, good boy. Good boy, Ranger.
Uniting houndsmen across the globe, from east to west, north to south.
You know, if you're going to catch a cat or a lion, you know, you have to have teamwork.
We take you to the wildest places on earth.
Yeah, so how many days a week you spend out there?
As much as I can, to be honest with you. Anytime that I get, I'm out there.
Join us for every heart-pounding adventure on Houndsman XP.
I'll tell you like I tell everyone else, I'm going to hunt whether you're here or not, so you might as well be here.
This podcast was recorded live at the Grand American. I sit down with an old friend, David McKee. You're going to hear all of the things that David McKee is involved in, and it will really blow your mind. I don't know how he has time to do much of anything else, to tell you the truth. But David has been the president of the Grand American for several years. He's been the president of the South Carolina State Coonhunters Association, and we talk about all of the things that go on behind the scenes and give people an in-depth look at what it really takes to put on major events and also how to run an effective organization. And David is an extremely humble guy, and I know from working with him and being around him in the past, he always gives credit to his team. And that's just a sign of good leadership. I think you're really going to enjoy this in-depth look at a busy man and David McKee. Before we get there, I've got to tell you guys, you got to be paying attention to what's going on around you legislatively. We've been running a lot of stuff on our social media platforms, and the attacks from the animal extremists are in full court press. You need to be paying attention to that and get involved. Call your legislators now and ask them where they stand on these issues. Pay attention to your local county council meetings. Make sure they're in a dog breeding ordinance or a tethering ordinance disguised as an animal welfare bill. You got to know what to ask for. And if you have any questions, hit us up on social media. Send me a message on either Instagram or Facebook. I'll be more than happy to help you any way I can. Also, join us on Patreon. We are lining up a lot of new sponsors on Patreon for 2022. You can find out how to do that for as little as $1 a week on our website at houndsmanxp.com. Click the support tab. It'll take you into Patreon. You're going to have access to tailgate talks and a lot of bonus material, plus discount codes on the gear that you need. Patreon is where it's at. We do monthly drawings, we do a semi-annual drawing, and we do an annual drawing. So join us on Patreon. We really appreciate your support. And as always, thank you for spending your time with Houndsman XP. Let's get the tailgate down. It's time to dump the box.
David McKee. I guess the first time I went coon hunting, I was probably about 6 years old. So it's been about 56 years.
Okay, I got it. And Roger, you want to state your name and same thing?
Roger Enlow. I've probably been coon hunting since I was about 10 or 12 years old. That's been about...
you don't have to age yourself if you don't want to.
42 years ago.
I was going to say 20.
No, I'd look worse than that.
Oh, yeah, we are sitting at the Grand American, and I've got David McKee and Roger Enlow here. And, man, this interview is like trying to schedule an interview with Donald Trump or something. You're so busy. Are you on the board too, Roger?
Yes, I'm the vice president.
Okay. Of which of the Grand American?
The Grand American, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the difference, you know, how this actual hunt is an organization and has officers and stuff. And but David, you're a guy that I've known for a number of years. Met you when you worked for AKC, and you're just a well-known guy in the coon hunting world. And one of the things that I think probably sets you apart, and I'm gonna flatter you here a little bit, is the thing that I can always count on is opening up my Yahoo mail account there and finding, you know, devotionals. Do you do those daily, Chris?
I try to do them daily, yeah.
And send those out?
Yeah, I do.
And I've talked to you about that in the past. It just seems like sometimes those things are so timely. You know, it just proves that you know, there's divine intervention in our lives.
Amen.
and guidance and things like that, and I've always appreciated that out of you. But I think that's one of the things that people really appreciate about you is, you know, that level that you, that personability and the level of care that you give things. So I just want to take an opportunity to publicly thank you for that.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think if you don't have faith in the Lord, you're missing out on a lot of blessings. And
Agreed.
If I just get a little bit of chance to share it with other people, I want to.
Right. Well, tell me how long you've been the president of the. Let's define the different hats that you wear, because I don't. Can we do that in the limited amount of time you've got?
We can. That's no problem. I've been involved with the Grand American on the administrative side since '92. I started out helping as a master hounds. I've judged the bench show several times over the years, but probably in '99 or so, I got elected to the board of directors, and was on there probably maybe 6 years, and then got elected chairman of the board. And this is my 14th year, I believe, as president.
14 years as a president. Yeah. Roger, how long you been involved?
So it's probably around 2000, wasn't it? Started off coming down here with the club, running the kitchen. And very glad that we don't do that anymore.
That's the truth.
Then I got...
I'm going to adjust something here for you real quick, Roger. Let's do it like... There you go.
After the kitchen, I got in on the helping Laird Thompson with the vendors, and wound up taking over the vendors when he gave it up. I done that for probably 8 years, and then I got on the board. It was still over the vendors, and now in the past, well, just this year I was elected vice president. So we'll see where that leads.
Yeah. Who talked you into doing that? Exactly. You know why?
The gentleman sitting here beside me.
You know why?
Yeah.
He's gonna train you for a couple of years, and it's gonna be adios.
I've traveled with this fella from Georgia to Indiana and everywhere in between there. So.
That's where I met you the first time. We were trying to recall that, but it was at the AKC World Hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah, you rode up there, and as soon as you walked up, I remembered meeting you up there, Roger. And so how long has the Grand American been going?
This is our 57th year.
57 years this hunt's been here.
Yeah, it's been in the same location.
And why was it? Give us some background on the Grand American.
As much as I can remember, it originally started. There was hunters from South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia wanted to come together in a central location and start promoting the sport. So they decided on Orangeburg for really kind of in the middle of all three of the organizations that were coming together to do it. And, you know, prime hunting, good location, plenty of support with local clubs and stuff. The first year, I think they drew like 100 dogs or so, and it's just grown. over the years, originally I think it was ACHA. Then at one time it was UKC one night and ACHA the other
remember
night.
when I did that.
And then there was kind of a little bit of I guess power struggle or whatever you want. One kennel club said they wasn't going to do it if the other one did it, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So it wound up going ACHA for a number of years, and then when AKC bought ACHA, and then it went to AKC, and maybe 14. No, it's been longer than that. Probably 16, 18 years ago or so, we went back to UKC, and it's been with UKC ever since. But the hunt is kind of unique the way we run it. There's 19 member clubs that put the event on, and
19 different clubs all come together to
Yeah.
put this one event on. That is different
Yeah.
because usually a major event like this has one main sponsor club, and
Yeah.
then they might pick up some satellite clubs and stuff, but not that extensive.
No, it is very unique the way it is, and all the profits and everything is divided and goes back to those clubs based on the number of help that you supply. So
That's interesting
yeah,
too. It's not just I send one guy up there and get the same amount as the
No.
club over here that's got 30 members there working.
we take like the ones of us that are working the grounds. Our club gets a share per person per day. Guides, you get a share per guide per night, and all of that is totaled up at end, and we may have a total of 200 shares.
Right.
And then we take whatever money and we divide it between those clubs. So it really benefits the clubs because, as we all know, our sport on the local level is really struggling.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute. I do want to dive into that topic with you a little bit because it seems like our bigger events are thriving and our smaller events are struggling.
They
But
are.
so the Grand American is kind of coined and labeled as the kickoff for the competition coon hunting year.
Yeah.
And has it always been that way?
Yeah, I think so.
Has it always been this time of year?
Yeah, it's always been. It's the first full weekend in January. If the first falls on Saturday or Friday, and we move it back to the next weekend because of deer season.
Okay.
Because a lot of our guides hunt these plantations and stuff down here after deer season.
Right.
So it's always the first full weekend. So that's why about every 6 years it'll be the second weekend, and it kind of confuses people, but it's because the first fell on Friday and deer season's still open. So.
Yeah. And from here, after the Grand American, we're not looking beyond it. We want to talk about the Grand American, but I mean, you got Winter Classic, you got Southeastern Dream Walking Day. The schedule just starts rolling from here on out for the competition year. And is this a Purina points hunt?
Yeah.
Okay. And kind of, we've got listeners from all over the world that are listening, so describe what that means.
Okay, this is actually the first year since they went back to when Purina and UKC decided not to do the races and all of that. Year before last, Purina approached us about doing something and starting it here. So last January was the first event of Purina's race last year. And then on Thursday night, we do an appreciation banquet. We invite our sponsors, the county council members, city council members, Chamber of Commerce, and then all of us from the board, UKC. This past Thursday, we recognized the overall Purina show race winner and the hunt race winner at our banquet on Thursday night.
Nice.
Yeah. And,
so the 2021 was recognized right off the bat at the Grand American.
Yeah.
And the Purina points races, for those that don't know, is a series of I would say, the more prestigious hunts
right.
in United Kennel Club, the big hunts, and that tally, handlers can accumulate points for themselves and their dogs throughout the year at these bigger events, and then at the end of the year they tally up the points. It's a lot like the NASCAR, NASCAR points accumulation.
It is.
Yeah.
And they also told us that they're adding, I think, 20 state races this coming year as well, so to make it more competitive. And
there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah, I mean, first place in the hunt was $10,000. Show was $5,000. And Prina gave us money last year to give to our first place winner in the hunt and to our show winner, and they did that at each one of the events that was selected. I think they're doing something a little different. I haven't sat down and actually we haven't. Are we going to talk with Dave this weekend or something?
You were supposed to.
And try to talk with him and see what their plans for. Because it's a hectic weekend for us.
It is.
And as you know, when you contacted me a week ago, and I told you there's no promises, I would try my best to do this because I really value your friendship and what you're doing through these podcasts and stuff. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not a podcast person.
The downloads we're hitting, I guarantee you, people that are listening.
Yeah, and I've had several people ask me about doing them and stuff, or do I listen to them? I'm like, it's not that I don't care or anything. It's just between my farm, and work.
Well,
I sometimes if I get an hour and I sit down,
it's more important to get the story out there. And we're hitting several thousand downloads a week, and going out all over the world, and
that's great,
and things like that. But this kind of story, I like going and finding. We've got to talk about the backstory behind these events. Mm-hmm. A lot of times. The winners will be posted in the magazine, but how does it all happen? How does it all come together? Those are the things I like to talk about.
Yeah, I've had this. I'm not going to use the young man's name, but for several years he would always come up. You need to do this. You need to do this way. And I finally told him. I said, when you become involved and you start helping me,
there you go.
Then I'll start listening to your suggestions. I said, you got some good points. I said, but when you get involved, then we'll talk. And the next year he got involved, and maybe last year or something, we were somewhere and we were sitting there talking, and he said, Mr. David, I want to tell you something. He said, you remember a few years ago when I was complaining and going on and what you told me? And I said, yeah. He said, I didn't realize how much work went on to putting on this event until I got involved.
Yeah.
I said, most people don't. We sat down last night, Roger, our chairman of our board of directors, Jay, and a few of the board members, we sat down last night for an hour or so, started bullet points for next year.
You're already planning for next year.
Already,
and this event isn't over.
No.
Let's talk about this event real quick. I want to give people an idea of how big this event is. How many dogs are you hunting?
We hunted 285 last night.
Mm-hmm.
We had 141 in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll hunt somewhere close to that tonight. Ours is a little unique because we take our double cast winners to go back out for the championship.
Mm-hmm.
For years, it was based on high score. And
that's all right.
Yeah, and we had.
I expect a busy man's phone to ring. Yeah.
We had always some problems, if you would put it that way, or there was always questionable scores and stuff when you're doing high scores, and we policed that very hard. People don't know how many scores that we actually threw out that mathematically were impossible.
Right.
But there's always that question. So
You've been in this business a long time,
Long
David, as
time,
far as,
yeah.
you know, being a master of hounds, and you were a field rep for AKC when their Coonhound program was going. Are you still with AKC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have
So you're
some.
still involved
Yeah.
there. And so you know when there's well, you know when there's a turd in the punch bowl.
Yeah, yeah. It's not, it's not hard a lot of times. Even when you last year we had a guy come in, pretty decent score. I know him, and when he don't look me in the face when I talk to you, it's, as you as an ex law enforcement officer, that's a clue.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you want to look a little deeper at situations
Right.
like that. We found out the scorecard was false.
Yeah.
But when we went to doing the double cast wins, it really changed the outlook of the hunters and stuff on what we were trying to do. The only drawback to it is a lot of our hunters that didn't win their cast last night, a lot of times won't hunt tonight.
Right, right.
So then that throws our numbers down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things we were talking about last night was what can we do to incentivize the guys to hunt on Saturday night if they didn't win their cast on Friday.
If you're not moving forward, then there's no standing still in this business.
You can't.
You've either
You
got to move
can't.
forward, make improvements, or watch it go away. So
And I think Roger and Jay and Harry and all the guys, I mean, I got a great staff. I'm proud of every one of them. It doesn't matter what needs to be done. We all got these radios on, and one of us can call and say, I need such and such, and there'll be 3 people say, I'm on the way. So it's always a pleasure. It's a long weekend, and I usually on Monday I'm beat.
I would imagine.
I look forward to it every year.
Well, Roger, what's your you've been involved here since 2000. That's a couple of years, about 22. My math isn't the best, but
Somebody bring me a key to unlock the building for the pictures.
that's okay. People need to realize how busy you guys are. How have you seen? What changes have you seen here that have impacted the whole?
There's been a lot of changes over the years. I mean, like David was saying, we've made changes with the hunt. Past 2 years have been kind of difficult with the vendors because of the COVID situation.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, the vendors were down because of COVID. A lot of them had it, and then this year, it's more of a supply chain issues that we got going on. That people
You can't find a TT-15 here.
Right. There's a lot of stuff you can't find.
That's right.
We got about half the vendors we normally have, and a lot of people think Grand American's going down, but they don't take in, what all's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, all that plays a part. It's
Right.
not that we're not trying. It's just, if
Well,
you don't have the product to
doesn't matter.
make something.
It's hard no matter what business you're in. I mean, whether it's construction or it's, they can't build a pickup truck. And, it's just one of those deals that has been plugging every facet of business and industry. All right, David's going to have to step out because he's got to do president stuff. So, Roger, you're carrying the ball, buddy. But as far as are your numbers up? Are they down as far as hunt entries, things like that? People in
As far as
attendance?
the hunt's concerned, they're staying about the same. I mean, they fluctuating about 30, 40 dogs, a year difference. Basically, one of the issues we've been having is with the vendors.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the hunt itself, it's still, as far as number-wise, it's still the same.
Yeah. So what is it about this event that keeps you involved? From the outside looking in, it'd be easy for somebody to sit back and say, man, those guys are running their butts off. They're already planning for next year. There's a lot of work involved. Why would anybody want to do that? What keeps you involved?
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't coon hunted in about the last 6 years. I don't even have a dog anymore.
Uh-huh.
That's because I've had a bunch of health issues. My wife don't want me out by myself. But I've always enjoyed coon hunting since I was a child. And I'll probably be involved with this for many more years.
Mm-hmm.
I just enjoy it. And more than anything, I like to see the young people get in it. This is a dying sport, always has been. But yeah, as long as we can keep the younger generation interested, I'm all for it.
Where do you think coon hunting would be without competition coon hunting today?
There'll probably be only a handful of people.
I
coon
agree.
hunting.
I agree. I mean, it's easy to sit back and throw darts at competition hunting and find faults with it and talk about all the problems with it and perceptions about cheating and stuff. But, man, I can tell you, I think if it were not for competition coon hunting and the people that attend these events and breeding these dogs, it would, for one, it'd be really hard to find a good hound, a good prospect to hunt. But, man, we wouldn't have nearly the people involved.
No.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, it was the older fellas that got everybody, involved in it and whatnot. And I mean, they're still there, but they're dwindling down. So, I mean, the young people's got to have something that teaches them.
And that's one of the things that David started to talk about, involvement and clubs and things like that. The bigger events seem to be really thriving. I mean, we're seeing unprecedented payouts in some of these money hunts these days with $100,000, and nobody ever dreamed that. I mean, Josh interviewed Shane Patton a couple weeks ago, and Shane had asked Roger Dale if he ever thought he'd be writing a check for $100,000. Nobody ever thought that, and we're at that level now. I mean, this is starting to get to be big business, but you get on that side of it. But then you look at the local club, and we're going to shift gears a little bit to the South Carolina Coonhunters. Are you still the president of that, too, David?
Yeah.
What are you seeing at the local level?
The local clubs are struggling because there's getting members is one thing. Getting active members is very difficult. A lot of the hunters just seem like they just want to show up and hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably been a trend for the last 15 years or so.
It has. I've noticed that too.
We've got two clubs I know right now that are at the point that they're going to quit because all their members are my age or older, and they can't get any young people involved and stuff, and they're just saying that they're just going to quit doing any events.
You can literally go to a hunt 300 nights a year.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
If you take off the Sunday nights and the holidays, it comes out to around 300 opportunities a year to hunt in somewhere or something. Yeah. Have we got too many hunts?
I think we do. I think we do. When I was in my 20s, 30s, and was competition hunting a lot, we got the magazine out, and we were like, okay, next weekend we're going to Raleigh, North Carolina.
Right.
All right, 2 weekends from now, we're going to Georgia.
Right.
And the local ones around, there was nowhere near as many local clubs in the States. But when you went to one, there's 40, 50 dogs there.
You got it.
It may be the same core group of guys, but it was 40 or 50 people at the hunt.
Right. Right.
And when you were talking about the $100,000 and stuff that's paid out, this past Monday at our local club meeting, one of the guys said, well, what's the PKC going to do now with the World Hunt? Are they going to, because now they're paying out more money than it's at the World Hunt. And I said, you guys are missing the picture. I said, it takes you a week of constant cast winning to get to the world. Mm-hmm. I said, you're hunting for a title.
Right.
I said, that money will be gone, son, in a year. That title don't never go away. It stays with you. I said, that's where y'all are missing the point.
Mm-hmm.
I said, the money is great. It is. I said, but when you win a world championship, I said, that's a great accomplishment.
Yeah.
That's why it's difficult to get there. You don't go out and win 2 casts and win the world.
Right, right. But do you think that's contributing to the lack of support at the local level?
Yes, I really do.
looking at myself personally, when I was competition hunting, being involved in that local club it puts a demand on your time. So you're sitting here and you're looking at your schedule, and you've got a UKC hunt coming up at your club on Friday, and you really know you should be there, but 60 miles up the road, they've got an added purse PKC hunt, and you're running for a truck ticket.
Yeah.
So, what do you do?
Yeah. The members are forced to choose, and it's the other hunters that you got to try to appeal to to make your club, functional. Like you said, they can just go wherever, and that's one good. I say good thing that PKC has done with the trucks and such as that, but they have tied this group of guys up that they're focusing on these things, and if I know guys that my club's got a hunt tonight, but like I said, I'm going up there because I'm running for that truck or whatever.
Right.
And
especially if they
old school guys, I'm gonna be where I should be. I'm gonna be supporting my club.
Yeah. It's especially hard when a lot of these handlers are hunting for somebody. So it's their job. These people make a living.
They're getting paid to do it.
And if they don't go, they don't have a job.
Right. And those I understand more so. It's just the kind of like in our club, Roger and I can tell you, we've got some of the guys in the club, if we have a particular hunt, one registry, they don't hunt. Mm-hmm. The other one, they'll hunt.
Yeah. It's still there's still tribalism within it all.
There is, and I try to stress the point to them: you're not supporting that registry, you're supporting that club.
Right.
All these big events, if the clubs at the local level go away, these big events are going away. Who's going to put them on?
So what's the answer? You guys have had to have had some conversations about how to.
We've has no telling how many hours. Myself, Roger, Laird Thompson. Laird is the vice president of our state association, and we're all very good friends, and we hunt and spend time together. But there's no telling how many hours we've tried to work that solution.
What are some ideas? What do you think? Roger, what do you think?
It's like you said.
We got a bunch of stuff we're running through, but I don't know anything off the top of my head that's going to correct it.
No,
right.
I wish there was a magic answer. But
do we have to change the format?
I think the one thing you hit on a while ago was there's too many events. Mm-hmm. It's just too many. We have tried through our state association to cut back on the events, to get the clubs to hold less events. And if you hold 10 events in a year and you draw 15, 20 dogs at those events, or you hold 20 and you draw 2 dogs, which one's benefiting you better? But the
light bill still comes in, the heat bill still comes in,
taxes,
all of it still comes in,
insurance, all of that. They but they're not involved with that club aspect, so these guys just don't understand that part of it.
Right.
But I wish there was some answer, because the reality is it's not getting any better.
Yeah. Well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about South Carolina. And I think it's important I like talking about this part of it because we talk a lot about joining state organizations and supporting, and I think it's important that hunters understand what it takes to keep our lifestyle and our sport alive. Yeah. And nobody really understands the amount of work and why your state organizations need you as a member.
Absolutely.
So kind of run down what South Carolina is it South Carolina Coonhunters Association?
South Carolina State Coonhunters Association. Yep. We, I think we have a good organization. I think we have some good programs in place. We have a legal defense fund that's is for our members. If you're coon hunting, you have a hound get shot, and the hound is where it should be, as far as it's not molesting livestock or anything like that.
Right.
But if it's hunting, and it gets shot, we pay for the lawyer to prosecute that person. And we've been successful several times.
Mm-hmm. We just did a 3-part series called "Don't Shoot My Dog."
Yeah.
On this podcast, and talked to a victim, talked to an investigator, and talked to a prosecutor, and how the Hoosier Tree Dog was involved on all 3 levels of that, and over the years. But that's good news. Another resource.
Yeah, when y'all started the Hoosier Tree Dog Alliance, Jerry approached me with how we ran our program and stuff.
Yeah.
And when we started it, every member put $10 a year into it.
Right.
Until we got up to $10,000. Now we keep that money there. If Roger's dog gets shot, he gets a lawyer of his choice. So we have several that are, pro hound that we recommend, but he gets a lawyer, takes it to court. If he wins the case, once he recovers the money, what he paid the lawyer goes back into the fund. If doesn't get anything, then the members, we put the money back into it to get it built back up.
Right.
You've got to do things like that.
Absolutely. You got to take care of your membership, and on what other things does South Carolina? What else are you guys doing to take care of
We have one. It's a statewide barring system.
Statewide what?
Barring.
Barring?
System. Yes. We just used it 2 months ago. If you have an individual at your club that's causing problems, and your club tells him, we're not going to allow you to participate for 6 months, a year, whatever. That club notifies our state secretary. Our state secretary sends out a letter to each one of our member clubs stating what happened, why, and what they're going to do for 6 months. Our clubs have the option. They can say, okay, we're going to support you. This individual is not coming to our club for 6 months either. And when you get 25, 30 clubs, do that, it has a huge impact. And we've actually had people have went back and apologized to the club, said, look, I can't hunt nowhere in South Carolina right now, because we don't do just one registry. It's a club wide.
The clubs take responsibility for it.
Clubs take responsibility, and
I like the concept on that, but how do you police it? I mean, what keeps a guy that walks into a club that's not his, and he has a problem at the club with a score or judging, or he doesn't agree with something, and somebody just says, well, we're going to bar you if you're going to argue.
Yeah. No, it was more detailed. We have a form that they fill out, tell them why, why they're doing it and stuff. And it has to be, your club's going to have a meeting with this guy and kind of like a disciplinary committee, the way UKC and all the kennel clubs do. It's not going to be just, I got mad at Chris and
right.
I'm club president and I'm going to tell Chris he's not coming back and I'm going to get all the other clubs to do it. So,
exactly. That's it's not being done at the Master Hounds table that night. And it's like, well, if you're going to act like that, we're going to kick you out and I'll make sure you're barred at every club.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not that way. And,
y'all don't mess around down here.
Well,
but that's exactly what we've talked about, David. If we're gonna continue to be out here and do these things, we make wonderful contributions to our communities. We've got to tell that story. But one of those things is we've got to police our own ranks. We
Absolutely.
can't have people coming in. We call it shooting holes in the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all in this boat together.
That's right.
We want you here, but if you're going to shoot holes in that boat, we'll throw you overboard like Jonah.
It's much better to get rid of one person or to make them step back and reevaluate, why they're doing the competition, hunting or whatever, than to punish all the other people that you pull up at a club and you, oh Lord, there's David. I hope I don't draw him. You know, we have really worked to try to open people's eyes to that, and that's our youth program. I'm proud to say this is going into our 30th year since we started our youth program. We give away scholarships. Kids might not think that much of it, but the parents love that concept.
You bet.
And
how much money do you think you've given away in scholarship funds? Do you have that number, ballpark?
$20,000 or more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, easy.
You know that, and people are like, oh, that's not very much money. But I can tell you, having kids that were going to college, and my kids are all done with that now. But $1,000 here, $500 here.
Yeah.
It
helps. Yeah.
It all helps.
It helps
every bit.
And we do that scholarship program through our tags. You know, I don't know of any other state that the Coonhunters have a tag.
You're talking about their license?
Yeah, we
their
have
hunting license.
No, our vehicle tag.
Oh, your vehicle tag.
We have our own vehicle tag. Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
And the money you generate off of that license plate goes into a scholarship
fund. Yeah.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
That's why I'm talking to you.
we this week, one of our members sent me a picture of their tag. It was 502. So we got 502 tags out there. Every time one of those tags are sold or renewed, the State Association Youth Fund gets $25.
That's great.
Yeah. And our tags are kind of unique. They got the palmetto tree, our state coon dogs treeing on the tree, and they're TD, tree dog.
No kidding.
And then whatever the numbers are. The first 100, wasn't it, Roger, we sold?
Yeah, we auctioned off the first 100.
Yeah, we had to raise $6,000 to start. So we auctioned off the first 100 tags and raised about $7,500 just on the first 100.
Wow.
To start the process of
I think the first two, the number 1 and number 2 tags sold for like $1,000 a piece.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is a great concept.
Yeah, it worked real well.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's
and it's sustainable.
Yeah. Even when we're gone.
I bet you've got people, like my parents who would buy that tag if they knew it was benefiting their grandkids. Oh, yeah,
we've got a lot of people.
We've got a lot of squirrel hunters that have that tag.
A lot of squirrel hunters, a lot of our game wardens, that, are involved and know us and stuff. I had one of them come by my office not too long ago. He said, I just wanted you to know I got one of y'all's tags on my personal truck. He said, I found out what your program is for. He said, man, I think that's great.
Let's touch on that a minute, because you've got South Carolina here. Their law enforcement association is set up here. How important is that relationship for you and South Carolina and Coonhunters in South Carolina?
I think it's very important.
How does it pay you back? How do you benefit from it? I should say.
The DNR's lawyers, I have their cell phone numbers. Mm-hmm. If we have a question about a law, or if we have something that we would like to introduce to try to get something changed, I take it to them and ask them what they think about it before I even talk to one of the House or Senate members. Mm-hmm. And they help me to go through it. When you get into the legal aspects of stuff, all of the words and everything, the way it's got to be written a particular way and stuff, us country boys need help with stuff like that.
It's not as simple. Everybody's an internet lawyer.
That's right.
Getting this stuff done. How did you get to that level, David? I mean, it doesn't just happen because you walk up and say, "Hey, I'm David McKee." It
started. I've been president of the state association for 29 years, I think. Mm-hmm. When I was elected president, one of our House of Representatives back then was an avid coon hunter. Mm-hmm. And he told me, he said, you need to start looking at the law side. He said, because our sport is just like every other sport. More and more people are going to be challenging what we do how we do things. He said, and you need to have people lined up when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, 30-something years ago, I was like, man, I don't, I just want to go hunt.
Right.
But I had to get involved with it. And I've gotten a great relationship with our DNR,
Mm-hmm.
House members, Senate members. If I need to call one of them or whatever, it's a very good working relationship. And when they have a bill come through that concerns, I get a copy of every one of them. I mean, their committee send them straight to me and ask me, what do y'all think about this?
Yeah.
And when they send one, I forward it to Roger and Laird and all the other guys and stuff. We get together and discuss it, and we'll send it back to them. Had one come through a few years ago. It was dealing with these little carnivals, giving away pets and like the rabbits and the chicks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they sent it to me, and I was looking at it, and I don't really see nothing here. But I read it the second time, and then the third time I read it, I'm like, wait a minute. If this passes, we can't have a live treeing contest.
Right.
So I called the DNR lawyers and talked to Mr. Mabry, and he was like, we didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, that's why we send this stuff to y'all, to let y'all look at it. So it's been a very successful relationship on both sides for us, and I'm proud of that relationship. That they put on a legislative dinner every year, the DNR does, and we're invited.
Yeah.
We're a part of it. So
yeah. And you're going to have the director of the DNR
yes,
here.
He's going to be here. He's never been to the Grand American. He's new. This is his 4th year, I think, as director, and he came from the fishery side. So our past director was from law enforcement side. I knew him when he was the colonel and when he moved up to director. Matter of fact, Chris, he's still one of the ones that's on the devotional list. And whenever he retired from the DNR, it probably was a month, and he called me. He said, you know what? He said, I just realized I hadn't been getting the devotionals because you're still sending them to my old email address. He said, I got to give you a new one. But one of the House members I was talking to this week about a bill concerning some leash laws, and he said, I'll go meet with the colonel and the lawyers, and he said, and then I'll call you back. And fortunately, I got off my tractor to open a gate, and I heard my phone ringing, and I looked, and it was Representative Hickson. So I answered the phone. He said, you got a few minutes? He said, I got the colonel and the lieutenant colonel in here, and let's go over this, what your concerns are.
Wow.
So we talked about it, and during that course of that conversation, he said, I said something about the director, and he was like, yeah. He said, I told him earlier about the Grand American. He said he wanted to come. So
Good.
He said, so I'm bringing him down there Saturday.
So, but how did you establish? There's 49 other states out there and several of those states have hound hunting organizations that don't have that same kind of connection with the policymakers or rule makers. Things. How did you do that?
You've just got to go out and first take the time to find out who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And go call, and talk to them. Go sit down with them, and just let them know how you feel. Talk to. One thing that Larry Coon, the House member, when I was first elected, told me. He said, I got 15,000 people that I represent.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if 10 people call me about something, he said, I need to see what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if 25 or more call me about something, I better not vote against them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Larry, out of all those people, he said, most people don't get involved.
Right.
He said, but they will vote He said, so you got to listen to your constituents. And that's what we've done is we've breached that there where all of our members in the House and Senate, they know that when we're asking for something that our members are supporting, that they better at least listen to us and then explain to us. When we tried to get a year-round run season, we had one senator said no. And I called him. And he was, not my senator, but I called him, and he said, I really don't think I've got a whole lot of coon hunters in my area. And I said, by Thursday, you will know you have coon hunters in your area. He called me on Tuesday. He said, will you please tell these people to quit calling me? I will take my name off of that block. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
They listen to voters. So you've got to get them involved.
My representative told me, he told us collectively as a group there in Indiana, he said, I had him come in and talk. He goes, when it comes to getting things done, it's not nearly as important that you know my name. It's more important that I know your name.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
When you come walk through a local store and your representative recognizes you and says, hey, Chris, how's it going? And you don't have to talk business there, but he knows who you are.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
When I call Senator Cromer's office, his secretary says, oh, hey, Mr. David, I'll see if he can talk to you right now.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to him so much, she knows who I am.
Right.
And
if you're not there, you're going to get put on hold. Well, I'll have him return your call.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got to call back the next day.
And
then you got to go to the office.
Let me tell you something. You can email them, all of them, but don't think they see all those emails.
Right.
Their secretaries look at them. But if you have 100 coon hunters email one senator, then they're going to get their attention. But phone calls, call them and speak to them, is 100% more important than that email. And
what about going to their office?
Oh yes. They pick at me when I do go down there because I'm usually in my overalls. Look, that's just me.
Right.
But yeah, I've had a couple of the senators pick at me about wearing my stuff. Now, when I meet with the governor, I don't wear overalls, y'all. I don't do that. But if I go down to meet one of the senators or the representatives, because we have such a good relationship and stuff, if we go out to eat or something, I'm going to dress like me.
Right.
I mean, I'm just an old country boy that loves this sport, and I want my grandkids to be able to enjoy it. And I guess I was just willing to step up and say we got to do something, and it's got to start with somewhere. So I was willing to take that step.
Roger, what's your opinion? Where would South Carolina be right now without a guy like David McKee that's been willing to get involved? And
we wouldn't be having the hunts and stuff that we have. Like Dave was saying, the hunting laws and stuff that we've gotten stopped that would affect the coon hunters and whatnot. We probably wouldn't be able to run dogs in this state right now if it wasn't for David.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that even goes for the people that run deer with dogs. I mean,
right.
A lot of people want to get rid of. They think it's cruel, to run an animal with a dog, but none of it. Whether it's a squirrel, deer, or a coon, dogs are not actually touching they're putting them in a tree, or they just chasing them till they get tired of chasing them. But
right.
I don't think we'd be able to hunt with dogs, period.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for David and a couple others. So I do appreciate that from him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do appreciate that, and that couple of others is very important because it's just not, it's a group effort. Like I said, I got a great staff with the Grand American and with the state association as well. I'm not going to take credit for what those guys and girls do.
Well, that's good leadership, David.
It's a great group.
That's good leadership. There's an old leadership concept that says when the work is all done, the leader can walk among the people and they will say, we did it ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, you give people the empowerment, the feeling of personal investment and ownership of issues as a leader, and they feel like they are accomplishing great things, and then you can get stuff done. And I've seen so many organizations where one guy sits at the top and wants to have all the control and all the glory and all the attention, and those organizations never succeed.
They fail.
Yep.
They fail. Yeah. No, it's a group.
Right.
And one thing that I think I've been very blessed with is finding people who had the same beliefs and the same philosophy that I've had, and we've shared it and grew it and worked to spread it to other people, and that's why with our youth program, we stress sportsmanship. We give bigger awards for sportsmanship. We give bigger trophies for sportsmanship than we do for the hunt aspect of it. And these kids are our future, but we don't want these kids growing up saying, okay, it's not an everyday trophy world. Everything you do, you don't get a trophy for. The first year we did the event, I'll never forget, we had trophies. We had like 40 kids the first time, and we had trophies for every kid. When they come back in that night, my son was one of them. He got beat on his cast by a quarter. He was 11. Called him up, giving the trophies, and he said, I don't get a trophy. I didn't win. and that's what we want them to see is, everybody's not a winner.
That's a lot of fun. That's being raised on a farm right there.
Yeah, that's true.
We've said it before, the farther away you get from the farm, the heart, more people lose touch with reality. So to wrap it up, I know you got tons of stuff to do, David, and you've been gracious with your time, and we've just scratched the surface here. But for people that might be hesitant to get involved, and maybe they're sitting out there and they're thinking, yeah, we need to do something. When a person leads properly, it's a very rewarding thing. When you see your team accomplish great things, and you touched on that, what encouragement would you give people that may not even realize they have something to offer, but they're thinking, man, I ought to get involved?
Start at your local. Go join your local club. Be active in it. Help with it. And if you have a desire for our state, if you have a desire to go further, then come to the state association meeting as well. And like Roger said a while ago, there's so much on the legislative side that goes on that even most of our members don't know about, because we stop it before it ever gets that far.
Right.
Because of that relationship we have with our Senate and House members, and with our DNR. But yeah, you got to get involved at the local level. And if your club is not involved, and you want to be involved, like I said, go to your state associations, because our state association, the way we look at it, if you got a county ordinance, you need to handle that.
Right.
We will assist you if we can, but we don't need to come and talk to your county representatives and stuff, because we're not from that area.
They don't know you.
That's right. They don't know us.
Right.
But when we go to the State House, they know us.
Right.
And that's where we concentrate on. So if you
that's one of the things that we get blindsided with, is these local ordinances and things. That's what's going to do us in.
And that's what when I was talking with the colonel and the lieutenant colonel, it was a local ordinance that was a changing an at-large law for hounds at large. There's always the exemption that hunting dogs were exempt.
Right.
The way this one was written, when the local club sent it to me, And I read it, and I said, this is in violation of Title 50, which
Right.
is the state law.
Right.
So that's when I called the lawyers and get them to look at it, and I'm like, yeah, we need to contact them at the county level because, they cannot supersede the state law, and this is in violation.
Right. Right.
So,
Well, David, I know you guys are busy. Like I said, I appreciate your time. We just scratched the surface here, but thanks for sitting down with us.
I was glad
I think
to.
I'd like to talk to you again when we're not so busy, and have you on again to talk about more of these types of things.
Be glad to.
Because I get calls, I get messages, I get emails. How do I start an association? How do I get involved? How do we handle this issue? What do we do here? So people are hungry for this information.
Yeah, they need to be.
And they're starting to see the urgency that they need to be involved. Right now, Arizona's looking at a proposal to stop hunting bobcats, mountain lions, and bears.
Mm-hmm.
And houndsmen are great at being reactive.
Yeah.
But we don't win being reactive.
No, you've got to be proactive.
You cannot build those relationships in the next 48 hours and be effective and influence people that are going to affect your lifestyle.
No, and you can't always, like you said, when I told that senator he would know he had coonhound, man, that was a reactive action there because we had to make a point.
Right.
But if we could have handled that before it got there, and now with the relationship that we have with all, I think we can.
Sure.
But at that point, this country boy was going to make a point, and we did.
You keep calling yourself a country boy, but you might wear bib overalls and look like, but you're pretty sharp, David. You're pretty sharp.
I appreciate that.
And I don't want anybody out there to be discouraged. You don't have to be an attorney. You don't have to be.
Do not.
Everybody's got a first day on the job.
Yeah.
And it's all stuff that can be learned, but it takes people getting involved to make that difference.
That's the first step.
Yep.
And like I said, that's what worries me so much about the local level is people need to go back to their clubs.
Right. Roger, you got a thought?
Yeah, you just got to be dedicated and have a lot of time. I mean, you put forth the effort, it'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be willing to do it. So
follow through.
Stick with it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, I appreciate your time. Great event, and hope you have a great day without any more major problems. Anyway, there's going to be problems.
Always, but little bumps in the road.
That's right.
It's not a problem unless we can't fix it.
David, I've always appreciated your friendship. I knew when I met you were a man of integrity, and I've always valued that.
I
appreciate it. I appreciate your friendship. And Roger, it's good to see you again.
You too.
And guys, until next time, you follow your hounds, I'll follow mine.
All right.